Welcome to The Last of Us Season 2, the show that becomes worse the more accurate it gets. Hi, my name is Nacho, back to the channel, and The Last of Us just had its second season finale, and after weeks of having my Twitter timeline taken over by stan accounts that chose to die on the hill that this show was the best adapted gaming IP ever made, quietness came onto it, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in cringe and were suddenly silenced. It's actually a damn shame that this show, that could have been so much more, ended up the way it did, being a boring, illogical, inconsistent, rushed, propagandized, girl bossy and just plain bad adaptation of an already troubling game that failed not only those who saw the issues coming, but those who pretended they didn't. And before you ask if by propaganda I mean this show's very obvious gay agenda, yes, I do think it's propaganda. But let's get into it. The episode begins with Dina and Jesse performing some non-game canon combat surgery after she got struck by an arrow in episode 6. And look, I get that this is a TV show, but when they showed the size of the arrowhead, two questions came to mind. Where and when did the scars cut them, considering their primitivity? I don't know, I guess it doesn't matter, but considering that Dina doesn't exactly have the biggest build, Jesse pushing that arrow through, even if he misses some arteries, that shed would split her femur in half.
What if it's the wrong way?
I know where the arteries are.
No, you don't, you're not a doctor.
Dina, shut up! What did he just say?
I cannot put into words how refreshing it is to hear a guy telling a woman to shut up in an American TV show. It's like finding a shiny Pokemon, and I don't mean that with malice. He's not doing it for the power of the patriarchy. It's not like Sean Connery, oh yes, it's good to slap a woman every once in a while. It's not like that. It's a simple, be quiet so I can help. He's taking control of the situation, which in a way helps to reassure the person you're assisting. After the intro, we pick up on Bella knocking at the door and Jesse letting her in. And here's where the episode has its first massive blunder. This moment is very important in the game. Freshly after killing Nora, we see Ellie returning in a state of shock, walking in, covered in blood, traumatized from what she just did. Dina, seeing her like this, sits her down to tend to her wounds and console her, and we get a glimpse of the toll this revenge path has taken on her body. The show decides to adapt this moment very closely to the game, and I can't believe I'm saying this, that's actually a big problem. Because Dina is the one who's gravely injured now. She's not there to receive Ellie at the door and slowly helping her out the state she's in. That makes Bella not worry about what she just did. Instead, she rushes in to check on Dina, completely ignoring Jesse. Once she sees her alive, she has to very quickly pivot to traumatize Ellie, and Dina has to look after her. This, however, doesn't work because the latter is the one who's worse for wear right now, and making her move around with one good leg to check on Ellie ends up looking super awkward. Funnily enough, it is Jesse who in this situation is the one who's best qualified to be acting nurse for both of them. Bella, unable to display the level of shock that Ellie had in the game, just says the dialogue without conveying the same message across. And then we get the back reveal with the same injuries. My question now is, where did those come from? Do you remember Bella doing anything to receive those bruises and scrapes? In the game, she fights people, gets shot at, runs into Nora and falls in the basement with her. Bella has pretty much aced every confrontation she's been in, with some potential damage she could have taken by the stalkers, which wouldn't have been much considering how quickly Jesse got to them. That and the bite she received in the subway are the only considerable damage she ever suffered. And that's that annoying girl bossy mentality that Hollywood now applies to all its female leads, biting the creators of this show square in the ass. Bella can't lose fights, or even struggle too much in them. She dealt with Nora with relative ease, so how the fuck are those bruises there? She didn't get blown out with Shimmer in the middle of the road. Fuck, she was jumping and exploring the theater all happy a few hours back, very unbothered during the whole episode, so it makes no sense that she looks this pummeled. Props to the makeup department though. This to me feels like Mazin and Drukmann just listed key moments of the game that needed to be adapted faithfully to at least be able to call this The Last of Us without bothering to consider if any of them would make sense in the grand scheme of things. On an emotional level, this scene is also a failure, and doesn't even come close to the level of trauma the game achieves, mainly because there's too much fluff in it. Bella starts talking about what she did to Nora, and then what Joel did to the Fireflies, which gets received with an incredible dismissal from Dina, who immediately says that they should go back home. She cries and says she's sorry. In the game, all Ellie says is, "I made her talk, and I don't want to lose you." If you still think the show is great after this, congratulations! You might be eligible for government financial support. In the morning, Ellie and Jesse are packing up with their backs turned to one another. Why are they even angry at each other? Jesse originally was there to help her. Plus, she's moving rather well considering the state she was in last night. And it's funny that she has to ask him for spare ammo. Remember when she was packing for Seattle in episode 3? I'm pretty sure those are shotgun shells. She was gonna pack shotgun shells and not a shotgun. They leave to meet with Tommy and begin the strangest sequence of dialogue where he explains the incredible tracking he performed to find her over 2 days with minimum clues. I'll just say that they must be the best trackers in the world right now. She thanks him for saving them, and Jesse goes on an incredibly justified rant over the fact that they treat him like shit and don't tell him anything, and somehow he tricks Ellie into giving away the fact that Dina is pregnant. And then she says this.
Look, she's obviously gonna tell you, so just act surprised.
Who the fuck wrote that line? I want to go to that person's house and replace every item of food in there with soup and then steal all their spoons, because they deserve to struggle a bit for putting that line in this show. The fucking idiots. And then Jesse, my hero, replies with this.
Well, how about this for something new? I'm gonna be a father, which means I can't die. But because of you, we're stuck in a war zone. So how about we skip the apologies and just go find Tommy so I can get us and my kid the fuck out of Seattle?
Fuck yes. Fuck yes, Asian daddy. You tell that little boy what's good. The rain begins shortly after, and look, syringes. Yeah, they definitely filmed this in Seattle. That's not even props, someone just left them there the night before shooting. They take shelter in a nearby building when shots start to ricochet around them. Taking cover behind a car, we see a young Seraphite being caught by a bunch of WLF soldiers. Seeing this, Ellie, or actually Bella, can't contain her main character syndrome, gets angry, and as the WLF soldiers strip the kid's clothes, she lunges to save him before Jesse grabs her arm and pulls her down. My guess is that this is a desperate attempt to gaslight the audience into thinking that Ellie is the good guy. The problem is, Jesse immediately addresses the reason why this is not the case, and what she's doing is gonna get them all killed. Now, we are well over the fact that Mazin lost his mind somewhere between season 1 and 2 and made Ellie an incompetent dumbass. Only God knows why at this point. He even says so in an interview.
Look for the devil's gonna find you. And Abby seemingly is not like Ellie, in that Abby is incredibly competent.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
He's getting paid way too much money to be this thick. If Ellie would have attacked the soldiers with no rifle, no stunts, no smoke bombs, no molotovs.
Oh, molotovs might have hurt the kid.
It's called acceptable collaterals, Junior. Look it up. All things available to her in the game, which wouldn't have hurt to include them in the show. I mean, even the things they did include, like Seth's rifle, which hasn't been used once since they arrived, and honestly, I haven't the slightest clue where she even left it. Had she attacked, she would have been torn to shreds in an instant. If the goal is for me to like Bella, they sure are doing everything they can to make me think the opposite. She's an emotionally unstable retard, and the writers realize this because they immediately have Jesse be the voice of reason again. I love this guy. He's my new favorite character. We cut to Isaac and Sergeant Park discussing the sudden disappearance of Abby and some of her crew. I mean, if this was done well, they'd be dead. But alas, we get a glimpse of a mysterious plan from the WLF and Isaac's intentions to have Abby be their next leader. Back to Ellie and Jesse, who arrive safe at their hideout but find no Tommy inside. So they decide to hole up till the rain stops. They have a quick heart-to-heart, and absolute props to young Mazin, who I feel now was the best casting they have done in all of this season, perhaps the entire show, making Jesse an absolute base chat, mainly for planting his feet at Bella's bullshit.
Because I was taught to put other people first.
Okay, got it. So you're St. Jesse of Wyoming, and everyone else is a fucking asshole.
No, he's not saying everyone else is an asshole, he's saying that you are an asshole. Specifically, and a selfish one at that. They hear some radio chatter of the WLF engaging what most likely sounds to be Tommy. Good thing they show Ellie turning off the radio earlier, hey? I love the fact that they paid more attention to a detail like that, and not to making the main character slightly likable. They reach an opening and we get another scene taken straight from the game, and this one takes the cake. Much like in the game, Ellie and Jesse reach this crossroad, where she wants to go after Abby instead of helping Tommy, a good reflection of how much into her revenge path she's into, given that she'd rather kill the former than help the latter. However, Bella and the script don't really do a good job adapting this.
She's in the fucking aquarium.
Who?
Abby, the one who killed Joel, she's in the aquarium.
What are you talking about?
What?
Oh, Tommy's over there. That's where we're going.
Don't. And even if it is, he's got them pinned down. He would want me to do this. Jesus Christ, if 3 more people had voted with you, you'd be coming with me.
I voted no.
Why?
Because everything you do for you. Ellie, it wasn't in the best interest of the community.
Fuck the community! You hypocrite! You think you're good and I'm bad? You let a kid die today, Jesse. Because why? He wasn't in your community?
Don't gaslight him, you dickhead. He saved you from becoming an immune cheese grater, and I'm supposed to be on the side of the unstable, emotional little guy, and not the based, logical, and no bullshit chat Asian daddy? What were they passing in the writer's room to fumble this badly?
Let me tell you about my community. My community was beaten to death in front of me while I was forced to fucking watch.
I'm sorry. Pardon my fucking French. What in the gosh darn it Jiminy Cricket are you running your thin ass mouth about? You didn't give a shit about that 2 episodes ago. You were ready to turn back at the first sight of Dina feeling slightly unwell. They spent a whole morning lollygagging, chewing beef jerky so they can make out without feeling their morning breath. Grow up, boy. When you really love someone, you wake up and you soak in that dead cat piss they call a breath, and you say, "Good morning, babe. How was your night?" before rushing to the bathroom or the kitchen to wash that shit down with either coffee or mouthwash like a real fucking adult. I got sidetracked. My point is, there was no sense of urgency in her demeanor until now. She was literally exploring the theater, all happy and smiley after getting some. Fuck his community? What even is that line? Last season only had 1 episode, dropping below 8 points in its IMDb rating. Funnily enough, it was Bella's solo episode about the gay DLC, and they decided to make a whole season like that immediately afterwards. And moments like this is why everyone fucking dropped out of this show. Ironically, it is Mazin and Drukmann who said, "Fuck the Last of Us community."
Don't look at me like you're better than me, or like you'd do anything differently if you were in my shoes, because you're not, and you wouldn't.
He is, and he would. He's proven both of those already. Ellie makes her way to the pier and miraculously doesn't shoot her gun before the entire WLF shows up and machine down her entire existence. She steals a boat. She commandeers a boat and heads up to the aquarium. Until... Oh wait, she's alive? She drifts ashore, somehow forgetting how to get up. She gets spotted by a little Seraphite who calls out 2 not so little Seraphites who pick her up and take her to the nearest rope. There's a video of Bella practicing her stunts in a way that make her look somewhat competent with a pistol. But then you get this scene and she can't even draw either one of her 2 holstered guns. She plays for her life, and the little Scar does this. Based. That kid is gonna make it big when he grows up. if he even gets that far. Cause just before Ellie gets split open like a goddamn fish, the WLF plan takes effect and the Scar's main community starts exploding. They let her off the news and she gets back to the boat and makes it to the aquarium. Before she goes any further, she stops to dry her bullets and reload. And this, to me, looks just like the workbenches you find in-game. How cool would it have been to have at least one true gamer in that writer's room who suggested her to craft something really quick. Anything, just slap together some wire and duct tape and make a landmine, MacGyver style. I don't care. Just anything that makes people go, oh yeah, this was supposed to be based on a game. Deep into the aquarium we get a similar setup to an important part of Abby's gameplay, and Ellie finds Mel and Owen. In the game, this is a very loaded scene, which showcases how skilled Ellie is able to take on both of them when they launch at her, and shortly after realizing that Mel was pregnant, which triggers a high-pitched noise inside Ellie's head seeing her belly, which triggers a high-pitched noise in Ellie's head after seeing her belly, bringing forth to the player the level of despair that this just caused her. Game Ellie is many things, much like Joel was, but she's not a monster. However, the blind desire to kill Abby and avenge Joel was slowly turning her into one, and that's the journey that The Last of Us Part 2 takes you in. I guess, because Drukmann probably meant something completely different. In the show, after staying faithful to the scene to a certain extent, Ellie kills both Owen and Mel with a single shot by accident. A quick shout out to Mel and Owen's actors who did pull up a convincing scene, albeit brief. Mel's final words telling Bella to take the baby out as she slowly loses consciousness was brutal. If only this Ellie wasn't as thick as a bowl of oatmeal, not even knowing how to do a transversal cut, she might have been able to save the baby. She could have been a dad of 2, but she fails and breaks down crying. Tommy and Jesse arrive and find her like this, but an important detail here is that Ellie didn't have her quest map with her, which will be important next. Back in the theater, Tommy and Jesse try to debrief Ellie about what just happened. She thanks him for coming back, and he in a way says that he did it because she would do the same. Lol, clearly. When they hear fighting in the next room, they rush past the door to see what's happening and... I'm just kidding. I knew that was coming, and it hurts even more knowing that he was probably the best character this godforsaken show ever had. This final scene is a play-by-play from the game, with the difference that I have no idea what Bella's face is doing right now, and after Abby says her line, Ellie gives her best John Bernthal impression.
I let you live, and you wasted it.
That was terrible. Before fading to black and starting Abby's side of the story in the next season. The finale of The Last of Us Part 2 had a 55% dropout in viewership compared to the finale of Season 1, and they still greenlit the next season that's beginning production soon. Why didn't they shoot it sooner, knowing that the intention was to make 3 from the start is a mystery to me, as well as the multiple weird changes and fixations Mazin and Drukmann had while making this. Despite this season costing somewhere around $70 to $105 million, it seems like a lot of shit was cut. Entire fighting sequences, particularly Ellie v Owen, that apparently was cut because, and I quote, Bella was too short. Why didn't you recast her then? The lack of infected, missing characters, Bella using other weapons. Despite all of this missing stuff, they still found room to make another 7+ episodes on Abby's side. They managed to make this season, much like Season 1, feel rushed, while at the same time stopping for extra fluff, like all the shit in Episode 4. The worst of the season, by the way. I started making this video on Tuesday. It is now Thursday as I'm finishing writing this script, and the rating for the finale went from 7.3 to 6.4, making it the second lowest rated episode of an already terrible season. This has to be the most amount of bed shedding I've seen done for a relatively successful show. Before we kiss goodbye this mistake of a series until 2027 at least, let me clarify to those commenting that I was just jumping on the hate train, or why did I watch a show I didn't like? Multiple reasons. 1. I'm a gamer, so gaming adaptations are kind of my thing. 2nd, I like to make people laugh. 3rd, I like making content, and this show was low-hanging fruit. More accurately, it was a low-hanging punching bag. It's a bag of fertilizer stuck on a pallet in Home Depot. I had to give it a slap, and that's what I did. But I didn't do it because I hate it. Or Bella Ramsey, hate is a strong emotion that can take over you and make you do things you'll regret if you don't control it. Much like I did with Ellie. I don't hate this show. I'm just disappointed at the wasted potential of a great story that could have been used to provide a lot of entertainment, but instead was used as a propaganda tool by people who don't care about you, me, or the fans of The Last of Us in general. This version of The Last of Us truly turned out to be the worst of them. But if you watched this fine video, leave us a like. Thank you to everyone who subscribed recently. More content like this to come. Check out this next for the review of the rest of the episodes of this season. And as always, I've been at you, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.